So I have provided a light blueprint which has a spotlight in it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set the spotlight brightness to a bit brighter because the scene's pretty bright as it is. Where are we? And I want to be sure that the light is going to work, and I'm also going to make it green so that I can see that it's on, and hopefully I can see a green light. It's very difficult to see. Spotlight, green, bright. Let's go in and change the other lights because they're probably way too bright. Okay, that looks like a green light to me. Right. So, if we open up the blueprint for this, so we have the light selected and we can go to Edit Blueprint, open Blueprint Editor. It will come up with the editor for this light. And we want to be looking at things like the viewport to begin with. And we can see that in the viewport, basically we have a static mesh component, which is what the visible thing is we can see, and we have a spotlight component, which is actually the light source. And under rendering, we can see that this light has a visibility. In other words, is it on or is it off? And this applies to most objects. In other words, even if I select the mesh, we can go in and we can look under rendering and it has a visibility. So these components have visibility, which is how we can turn them on and off, whether they are seen or not. And with the light, it's whether or not the light is going to emit any light. So what I want to be able to do in my level blueprint is I want to be able to turn the visibility of this off. And again, what I want to be able to do is I want to use a trigger volume to do that. So let's go and put a trigger volume over here in the corner. I'm going to call this light switch. And this I'm going to call room light 1. So again, what I want to do is I want to open up my level blueprint. So this is the non-interactive element. In other words, this is the light blueprint. I've got it selected. I'm going to create a reference to it. And then what I want to do is I want to toggle the visibility. Of the spotlight. So what I have done is I've asked it to toggle the visibility of the spotlight, not of the mesh. And it has already put a spotlight component in for me. So the next thing I want to do is I want to find the activator for this, which is our trigger volume. So if I go in and I select our trigger volume, this is our light switch. So again, I'm going to go in and add an event for this, collision, and I'm going to say when we begin overlap, and I will connect these two together and compile. So now the light is on. I go over to here, the light is off. I think it should be. Doesn't look like it is. That's on. That's off. Not very visible. Let's just make sure that it is working. That's definitely off. And it's definitely on. Okay. Let's tweak those lights up a little bit again. 0.3. I've probably got auto exposure on, so it's messing up all the light settings. No, not that one. That one, please. 0.3. 0.3. 0.3. Fine. Okay then. Good. If you have the blueprint open in another window, you can actually see when these volumes activate. So this is the blueprint. If I just shift this over a little bit to the side, you can see that if I run into this volume, you can see a little highlight, which means that that has been triggered. And again, if I go through the door and I go through the next one, you can also see a highlight, which means, so these two lines trigger when they're activated when you're playing, which is great for debugging, so you can test to make sure either the trigger's working or the settings aren't being toggled correctly. Any questions? Okay then, let's do that one then.